Hi, Gary Zacharias here. I want to welcome you to our 10th video in this series about English essentials. We've covered the paragraph, we've covered multi-paragraph writing, the essay, and we started in on grammar last time for number 9, and we were looking at parts of speech. That's going to be important as it plays out as we do some more work on grammar here. And so today I'm using the textbook again. It's called English Essentials. Glad to give you a copy. Just email me. And I'm on page 42, and that's where we're going to talk about, it's not enough just to know parts of speech, but we want to get sentences working and see what happens with sentences. And people get themselves into a lot of trouble when it comes to putting a sentence together. They're not sure where a sentence starts and where a sentence ends. And that's just a killer, because if somebody's reading your work and they don't think you understand a sentence, the sentence is a basic part of communication. It's the basic element. It's foundational for understanding what people are talking about. Every sentence has a topic. Could be a person, could be a place, could be a concept. It always has a topic, and something is being said about that topic. So that's all a sentence is. But it's the basic method of communication. So if you say, my dog is smart, what's the focus? You want to talk about your dog. What do you want to say about the dog? The dog's smart. If you talk about your mom's a great lawyer. Fine. So it's the mom, that's what the focus is. What is she? She's a great lawyer. If you say, my sister studies constantly, the focus is on the sister. What's she doing? What are we seeing her up to? She's studying. So that's a sentence. You have a subject that you want to talk about, and you make a claim about that subject. Once you've done that, your sentence is over. But some people are not exactly sure when to end and when to begin a sentence. So there are 3 basic errors that people will get themselves into, 3 basic problems. One is, 2 of them are called run-ons. It's kind of confusing because the same term will be applied to 2 of them. They'll be called run-ons, and the third type is called a fragment. So let's take the run-ons first. Let's take a look at them. 2 kinds of run-ons. So again, page 42, let's talk about first what's called a fused sentence. If you think about it, I don't know if you've ever messed with wires. If wires get real hot, sometimes they will fuse. They will like melt together, and you can't see where one ends and the next one begins. That's the same concept with a fused sentence. It has, remember what a sentence has, it has a topic that something is said about. Then if you introduce a new topic and say something about that topic without giving us a break between the two, can you see how confusing that is? You were talking about one thing and you made one claim, you started talking about something else, or even the same thing again, and made a new claim. Those are 2 sentences. So as an example, here's what one might look like. I'm glad I bought this car. It runs well and is dependable. Those are, if you treat it as a single sentence, it's a mistake, because you started off saying, I'm glad I bought the car. So it's all about you. I am glad. I bought the car. I'm glad. So it's all about your feelings. Then it shifts. It runs well and is dependable. Now what's the sentence about? It's on a new topic, isn't it? It. What's the it? The car runs well and is dependable. So the first sentence was about I'm happy. The second sentence was about the car. But it's fused if you don't give the reader any clue at all. You just go from one right into the next. Right? So that's what a fused sentence looks like. Let's do the splice, and then we'll figure out how to fix these. A splice looks just like a fused sentence with one exception. So a fused sentence is one idea with something being said about it. Then you throw in another concept or a person with something being said about them, and no break at all. Well, the comma splice is sort of like somebody saying to themselves, I know something is going on here. I'm starting to switch topics here. I'll put a comma. Okay, commas do a lot of things. They're all over the place, but they're not strong enough to be like a flag waving saying, hey, pay attention, I'm starting a brand new topic and a brand new thing being said about that topic. So here's an example of what a splice might look like. I'm under letter B on page 42. He went to the beach each day after school. Then he hung out with his friends for hours before he went home. Do you see there were 2 thoughts there? He goes to the beach, right? It says he went to the beach. So the focus is the time at the beach, comma, then he hung out with his friends. So those are, it's the same guy, but do you see how 2 different things are being said about him? He's at the beach, he's hanging out with friends. Those are 2 thoughts. Those are 2 separate sentences. and there's only a comma separating them. Not strong enough. So one more time. A few sentences is two sentences with no indication at all that you're moving from one to the next. A splice says, I've given you a sentence and I think something's going on here. I'll put a comma and I'll give you another sentence. That's not strong enough. So what's the fix? 3 fixes. First one is put a period, because we already understood that you had 2 sentences, so you put a period. So let's go back to that first example. I'm glad I bought this car. Period. So that sentence is just about you. It runs well. Now the it is the car. That's your brand new sentence. It runs well. So you could fix these sentences with replace the comma, put a period. Put a period between the 2 ideas. That fixes it. Now here's the problem. Maybe you can even guess this. If you keep giving short sentences with periods, short sentences with periods, short sentences with periods, you're going to end up with what are called choppy sentences. They're all kind of the same length. You say something like, I love my dog, period. He greets me every day, period. We go out in the yard and wrestle around, period. He's always there for me when I need him, period. I mean, do you see how it sounds like elementary school writing? So it will be correct. Nothing wrong with fixing it that way, but you don't want every one of your sentences like that. A second fix is to put a semicolon. Okay, it's that little, looks like a comma with a dot over it. And that's a flag. That's a flag waving. It's an important one saying, my sentence is done. I will now give you another sentence. So what's the difference between a semicolon and a period? A semicolon, think of it as a speed bump. Think of as a period as a stop sign. All right, so the stop sign says come to a complete halt and then go on. The semicolon says slow down and we want to keep the sentence moving, but I will give you another topic with it here. So that's a possible solution. So we can do something like, let's go back to the first one. I'm glad I bought this car, semicolon, it runs well and is dependable. Notice those 2 ideas are kind of similar, aren't they? Because they're still talking about buying the car. Here's where it would not make much sense if you say, I'm glad I bought my car, semicolon, my dad is a successful attorney. What is that? They don't seem to have anything to do with each other. One's on a car and another's on your dad. Better to, if you're going to use the semicolon, make sure they're kind of in the same area that you're talking about. Okay, so that's 2 kinds of fixes. Another one is, and I'm getting further down to page 42, use one of those conjunctions. Remember we talked about that last time? It's a part of speech. Fanboys, or boys fan, whichever way you learned it. Words like and nor and for and yet and so and but. Those act as a really nice separator between your 2 ideas. Okay, so you might try something like, let's go back to that sentence, I'm glad I bought this car and it runs well. Right? So you just hook an and, hook for. For is probably a better choice there. Hook the 2 together with a conjunction. So conjunction, I think I told you before, to me it's like Scotch tape. You're Scotch taping 2 pieces together and you're making those 2 sentences function that way. So those are the 2 errors that people run into as far as splices, and a few sentences are called run-ons sometimes. It's a big deal. People need to catch those and fix them as soon as they can, because if you don't, it's like you don't really know what a sentence looks like, and that's how you're supposed to basically communicate. Yeah, if you want, I've got a bunch of examples on 43 to try out and see how you do on those. But let's tackle the other kind of problem that people run into. So today it's all problems. So the other kind of problem is called a fragment. Now think about what a fragment is. A fragment is a piece of something, but it's not the complete thing. So if you had a fragment of a pottery, some pot or something, it's a piece of the pot, but it's not the whole thing. So when they're out doing archaeological work, they'll come across a fragment and try to imagine what the whole pot looked like. Well, the same thing can happen in English. Remember, you need a subject, some topic, and you need to have something said about that topic. So what if I had a sentence like this? She lectured her class, period. Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? She, okay, so it must be the teacher, lectured, now we know what she was up to, so we're done, period. But why is this going to be a problem? So let's go back one more time. She lectured her class, period. We're all right. But what if this was the next sentence? And tried to get them ready for the test. tried to get them ready for the test. What's missing from that? Why is that not a sentence? Why is that a fragment? And tried to get them ready. I see an action in there, trying to get people ready. What's it missing? There's no subject or topic. Now you say, well, I know it's the teacher. Yes, but it's not in this sentence, and you're treating that period to period as if it's one sentence. It's not. You left out the subject. That's a fragment. Let's try one more. She rode her mountain bike up the hill. Period. Okay, is that a sentence? Yeah, I think so. We don't know her name. That's all right. What's she doing? She's riding a bike. She's going up a hill on her mountain bike. But what if this is the next sentence? Pedaling furiously. Pedaling furiously. I can see an action. What's it missing? Subject. So people are often writing fragments by just giving us a part of a sentence. There could be another kind of a problem with a fragment. Let me illustrate that. Let's go to the third, number 3 near the bottom of the page. Although he did not have much time, period, Bill started working on his car. Let me start with the second one first. Bill started working on his car. I can see a subject there, Bill, and I can see a guy working on a car, and it seems to make complete sense. This guy starts working on a car. Let's go back to the first one, though. Although he did not have much time. And you say, well, it has a person in there. You got a pronoun, he, and it says something about him. He didn't have much time. But look at that word that's starting there, although. If somebody walks into your room and says, although I plan to hang out with you, and then stops, you would say, that's an incomplete thought. I don't know what you mean. Or a friend of yours calls you up and says, although I loaned you $20. Where are we going with that? That's not a sentence. So that sometimes you can put a word in front and you can kill off a perfectly good sentence. Words like because. Did you know because does not give you a sentence? It indicates there's going to be another part. If I come up to you and say, because you're my friend, and then I pause and I just look at you, you're thinking, I think something good is going to come, but it's not there yet. What's wrong with this guy? He's popped some neurons. Something's wrong with him. Heat stroke, maybe. He needs to get some help. That's not a sentence. Because I consider you my friend. Because you're my friend. So there are a bunch of words, and we'll come across them later as we go through some more English. They're called subordinate conjunctions. They do not give you a sentence. Let's try one more. Number 4. Mike yelled at his brother, period, because he was late for the movie. Mike yelled at his brother. Complete thought. No doubt we know this person and what he does. Next sentence says, because he was late for the movie. That does not function as a sentence. If you just held up that because part, that will not give you a sentence. So it's a little confusing right now, but trust me, we're going to come across these again and again, and I'll show you more as we work our way through that. So hope that makes sense. Run-ons are coming in the form of splices or fused sentences. And you got the other issue of fragments, and plenty of ways to fix the fragment. One way is just put the fragment in with the main part of the sentence. But we'll come across those a little bit later. Plenty of exercises for you to try out in here if you want. And email me with any questions. You can certainly go online. TAMU is a good one, Texas A&M University, tamu.edu, tamu.edu. And go to their writing guide and speaking guide. And they give you all sorts of exercises if you'd like some help on figuring out what fragments and splices and fused sentences look like. Or you can just do a Google search, right? Just type in comma splices, and they'll give you exercises with instant feedback, which is really helpful. So you'll know right then if you got it correct or not. Another good source, I think I mentioned before, is OWL, O-W-L, at Purdue. OWL is really, really good. Also, it's an online writing lab. That's what it stands for. It stands for at Purdue University. Again, go in and do some exercises there. So I wish we could sit down together one-on-one. I could show you more of these things, but I'm just trying to hit some highlights right now in case you've ever heard that term splice. It just means you hook two sentences together with something pretty weak, a comma, because a comma can be anywhere doing other things, so the comma to separate the two sentences won't be enough. So I hope this is helpful. Like I said, we'll be playing with this idea a little further as we go through the grammar exercises. So that was video 10, and I hope to see you again next time. Thanks. Take care.